Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ podcast, where I sit down with some of the most successful and respected real estate agents working right here in one of Australia's most beautiful and sought-after regions, Southeast Queensland. This podcast gives you a genuine, behind-the-scenes look at who these agents are as people, what makes them stand out in the industry, and most importantly, can help you decide if they're the right fit to guide your property journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. You might just be listening to the perfect person to sell your property. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ. Today's guest is someone who's seen it all in real estate and quietly built a reputation as one of the most trusted figures on the Gold Coast. Andrew Wright is the principal of Professionals Southport, a role he's held since 2008. He's got decades of experience and thousands of successful sales under his belt. He's known for his calm leadership, sharp market insight, and unwavering commitment to his clients and team. In 2021 and 22, Andrew was recognised as the number one selling principal in Queensland within the entire Professionals group, a testament to both his personal performance and strength of the agency he leads. He's not one for hype or noise. Andrew simply delivers year in, year out. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Adam.
Fantastic, mate. All right, so let's wind it back. Where did it all start? Where did you grow up, mate? Give me just a bit of background.
Yeah, born in Hervey Bay, Queensland, and after 6 years moved to Brisbane and was sent to a boarding school at Ipswich Grammar School until 1987.
Yep. How did you like boarding school?
Best years of my life.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why is that? I hear a lot of people love it, a lot of people don't. What was it that...
Well, that particular school very much focused on sport. And as a boarder, 3 o'clock the bell goes, you're out playing touch football, tennis, rugby, cross-country, athletics, whatever it was. And all weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, most of the boarders didn't go home. We just played sport. Absolutely loved it.
Fantastic. So, what were your sports of choice then throughout the years? What did you enjoy, and what were you good at?
Very early on, I wanted to be a professional tennis player, but learned very quickly by sort of 14 that I wasn't good enough.
Okay.
But did play competitive tennis.
Yep.
Cross country, middle distance, and rugby union in high school.
Okay. So after Ipswich Grammar,
Grammar School, yep.
What was your first foray into the workforce? Was it straight into real estate?
It was in 1991.
Really?
I got it was only a brief role in Surface Paradise with a marketeer real estate office. They had it wasn't internet marketing back in those days. We had a couple of very pretty girls in Surface Paradise standing out the front with not a lot of clothes on, attracting the tourists, and they basically used their marketing prowess to encourage them to listen to a marketing presentation to buy real estate on the Gold Coast. So a lot of those early clients were from Sydney and Melbourne and coming to the Surface Paradise.
So we're saying here there's probably plenty of people around with investment properties now that they bought and have made an absolute mozza on because they saw a couple of girls in bikinis and who got them to go to a seminar.
Well, I'm not sure, to be honest. That brief stint in real estate didn't last a long time with me because it didn't align with my values. So those ladies brought the people in off the street.
Yep.
They pre-qualified them as to how much money they had lying around and their borrowing capacity.
Sure.
And they brought them into the room and we did a scripted rider hunt property research spiel on these 7-year real estate cycles on the Gold Coast and why now was a great time to buy. And when we had people that had the capacity to buy, we literally threw them on a plane that day or the next day, flew them over to Russell Island and tried to sell them a block of land. And back in those days, that was a really hard sell. We've got you on this plane. You're over here. You've said you're in a position to buy. You've seen the the research on property cycle, sign here. You know, which one do you want? And
pretty interesting way to cut your teeth in the property game.
Yeah.
But also just shows just how times have changed, haven't
Absolutely.
they? I mean, I remember something sort of a little similar, I think, but I can't remember whether it was girls on the street, but they were offering you scratchies or something to have to go in and then hear a timeshare presentation.
Yeah.
So, but times have definitely changed. So, Look, I do want to delve obviously now further into your career and what moved on. Well, no, let's do that a bit more now. What was the next step after that role?
I built a large financial planning business. I got about 16 years. I was in the financial planning industry.
Okay, so it wasn't straight into real estate after that first?
No. I actually got into a bit of trouble there. Straight after that, actually, I borrowed some money off my old man and bought a finance brokerage business.
Right.
As a finance broker, getting people loans to buy property.
Sure.
And the people who sold us that franchise basically took our money and disappeared. So I started life as a 21-year-old out of uni, owing my dad $15,000.
Which is a lot of money in those days.
Well, in those days it was, and I still had a HECS debt, and I owed the old man $15,000 that I'd lost. I'd given it to these guys to, hold our hands through building.
That's a pretty big thing to have happen to you as a young fella.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was my first entrepreneurial journey that set me back and taught me a few lessons.
Right. So financial, mortgage broking. Then financial.
Right. Then I had to pay my debt off to the old man with that $15,000. So I actually got my one and only job for my lifetime, basically, and as a research analyst in a financial planning software company. And for 6 years, all we did was report the performance of managed investment funds in Australia and New Zealand. And we collated databases that financial planning software providers used to analyse the performance of investment funds.
Right, okay. And then it was into real estate?
No, then I left that company after 6 years and set up a financial planning business for about 10 years. And had a reasonable sized firm. I employed up to 35 people at its peak. Yep. I had a fairly big business.
That's a decent sized business, yeah. Okay, and all really good stuff as a base and a background to go into real estate.
Yeah, well, quite a focus even in that financial planning journey was commercial property investment. We raised hundreds of millions of dollars for commercial property investments over that time, and the downfall of my business there was in 2008 when the GFC happened, and a lot of those investments went south due to the leverage that the fund managers had in those commercial property trusts.
At that time,
that's what forced me to get into a different industry and actually set up a real estate business.
Another very tough period.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
imagine.
right.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So, all right, let's move into the real estate sphere. Where did you start out?
Well, real estate was always in the blood. As a 5 and 6 year old, my father was a property developer.
Okay.
Built a block of units in Bribie Island and made a bit of money. Then built another one, made a bit of money, and then got a bit greedy. Borrowed a lot of money to build a really big unit site in Bribie Island, and I think that was around that 1980s. 1980, I would have been 10 years old at that stage, and the market went south. Dad was paying 18% interest, and when in default, an extra 5% penalty, so 23% interest Dad was paying on borrowed money, and we end up losing everything at that stage. So that was my start to understanding real estate cycles and risk, and I've always had a bit of an interest in real estate since then.
And look, you've probably learned a lot of lessons from those. You've mentioned a few things
Absolutely.
now. Seeing your father go through that $15,000 that you started off with. I think most successful people in any industry or entrepreneurial have had those. They have the big wins but big losses too, and learn from them.
Plenty of losses, yeah.
Yep. So, all right. So, 2008 through that financial, you've got to make your shift. Where did you decide real estate's it?
Yeah.
Where was it? Was it straight into the professionals?
Straight in the professionals, that in itself a bit of a story. I mean, the emotional roller coaster of where I was at that point in time. We were literally getting sued by no win, no fee lawyers for all these investments that went bad, even though they were, the ones that we were told to sell, the recommended approved products.
And without a global financial crisis, would probably be doing very well.
Yeah, I'd also personally lost close on $15 million of assets I'd built up in my mid-30s at that stage.
Wow.
Due to,
I mean, that's got to hit you hard.
Yeah, so I went from that to on bankrupt on paper at that time. So having had a lot of success previously, I was unemployable at that time. My mentality was never to go and get a high-paying job. So I literally borrowed money on my credit card to buy the Professionals Southport real estate office. The gentleman before me had already sold his rent roll, so the business wasn't valuable, had no recurring revenue. It was just the name, the phone number, and the sales brand. So I had no money at that time. I'd lost everything, and I didn't know how to run a real estate office either. So pretty ballsy. I actually put it on my credit card.
I was about to say, this is a big move, Andrew. Yeah. You've just lost $15 million.
Yep.
You haven't really done real estate before. And rather than just go and, lob up at an agency and say, look, I've got this skill set, give me a go, you've gone and bought an office.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there was no office. It was just a brand.
You bought a brand.
I didn't take over his lease or anything.
Right.
I employed his name, a phone number that had been used for 15 years previously, and I took over one experienced salesperson that he had employed, and in return for an extremely high commission split, I was paying him 80% of his commissions. I said, well, look, I'll do this, but you need to teach me about real estate and how to run a real estate business. So I'm your boss, but you got to teach me what to do.
Right. Wow.
Shortly after that, I employed a very experienced senior property manager who had 25 years plus of experience, and she taught me how to build a property management business. I'd go out with her and
get a rent roll.
She built a rent roll, and I learned how to build a rent roll from her, and I learned how to become a salesperson from the salesperson that I was employing. So
that must have been
the boss who knew nothing, but just...
You're always learning, and obviously you were learning from scratch there, but how long do you think that process actually took from the time you had both of them on for you to say, I think I now get this?
Well, I was never super smart or intelligent or educated or anything, but I always was very determined in anything I did, and even that first year I signed up 120 new property management clients in year one, which is, pretty quick sort of growth for a real estate office. Didn't buy any of them. I just went out and learnt, how to do it and just build it quite quickly. So that was in addition to focusing on sales. I personally signed up 120 property managements year one. So that's what sort of got me rolling. And overall, as a real estate salesperson, I didn't make any money for the first 5 years of the business because every cent I made went into wages, paying people to come and join the business and reception and property management. And after making, more than $1 million a year for multiple years as someone in my mid-30s, 20 years ago, which would be more than $2 million a year now.
Yep.
I went pretty hard earning nothing for 5 years.
Yep.
Everything just went back into the business. So
wow, what a story! And so it's obviously been a continual growth since then for the Professionals Southport office. What at its peak, how many staff did you have?
Look, in the early years, I had more staff than now. So initially, my business model was to get leverage, and I had 12 salespeople in my business in the early years, in addition to the property management division. But that seemed to consume a lot of my time dealing with fights between salespeople on, who was the rostered agent on the day to handle leads that came in, and that was
who's
my buy, that was my,
and
complaints from clients saying that this agent didn't do the right thing, and training people and then they'd get up and leave. So I changed my business model 5 or 6 years ago, just to having a smaller team and doing a lot of the sales myself as a selling principal.
Because that's what you love, isn't it? You love the sales. You love dealing with people.
I love selling. I love dealing with people, and with respect to the industry, it's improved a lot now, but the integrity of a lot of salespeople that I was employing wasn't aligned with my set of values, coming from an industry that valued professional development and things like in the financial planning industry.
It's known as an industry. Well, it has been, and on the Gold Coast traditionally over 30 or 40 years, where there are a lot of so-called sharks out there, isn't there?
Yeah,
and,
I've employed a lot of them, and some of the practices just weren't in line with my values. So I have a very small team now. It's me and my son primarily do most of the sales.
Yep.
With 2 part-time Chinese-speaking agents who help bring in some big hitter buyers from China. I can't speak Chinese, but they fit in that missing link, bringing in some big additional buyers.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
So tell me then, if not, and this is just to get to know you a bit more, so obviously you love real estate. You've been doing it now for a very long time. It's related to your history before that. If not real estate, what would you be doing now?
Oh, there's no doubt living a life up till mid-30s as a professional sportsman would have been a dream come true. I mean, I just didn't have the ability or genetics.
And tennis would have been it?
Well, I tried in tennis, but by age 13 or 14, whether you're good enough, and I certainly wasn't. And I had some mates of mine that were better than me that still didn't make it either. So it's anyone who's become a professional athlete, you've got to admire not just their natural abilities, but the work that they've put into
dedication and
absolutely.
drive, everything else.
Absolutely.
What are your sports of choice now in terms of watching and following? And
I taught martial arts for a while. I'm a 3rd degree black belt in karate, and I helped my 2 kids become black belts in karate. So I love fighting, and on TV now I only watch fighting or rugby league pretty much. So any type of fighting or
and who do you follow in the league?
Well, unfortunately, on the Gold Coast here we have a Titans club, which is bottom of the ladder at the moment. So I think there's 16 teams in the comp, and they're coming 16th. So I've got a corporate box the next 2 weekends actually that I've invited a few clients along. So support them, yes, but no longer get emotional when they lose.
Okay, so we'll talk about that corporate box once we've actually finished the podcast here, because I am free the next couple of weekends, in case you needed to know.
I'll get you along to one of them, Adam.
Perfect. All right, so describe your sales style to me. Let me rephrase that. How do you describe your sales style?
Well, I think setting from a high level, I like to think of myself more as having an advisory relationship with clients rather than a transactional one. So
a consultant more so.
Yeah, more so of a consultant than just than getting numbers. There's a lot of things that, awards in the industry are based mainly on either the number of commissions you generate in a year or the number of transactions. I think there's a lot of other areas that you can assess
metrics
that related to adding value to a client. I mean,
stats,
things that you don't get. I recently had an example of a client that we took over the management of a building in Upper Mount Gravatt for. He had an office building with 3 empty offices that were with a major global brand, and they couldn't lease them. Within 6 months, I leased those 3 empty offices and got approval to put a $50,000 a year digital billboard on the roof, and that's an extra $220,000 a year I generated for that client, and added more than $1 million of value to the building. And that's satisfying for me. And
that's the things you don't
get an award for that.
No,
there's no awards for that.
And to me too, for you to do that, and this shows your skill set across the whole industry, Andrew. That you're a residential you're classed as a residential
Principally
agent.
residential agent, yeah.
But look, you've been thrown that, and
Yeah.
look at what you achieved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's difficult in a podcast to have the right words to come out with experience without maybe trying to oversell yourself. But as an investor, I have more than 20-something investments in a portfolio, so I can come from a perspective of giving people real advice on guiding them through or navigating through the choices they have as an investor, not just, let me sell your property.
Sure.
People come to me and I can help them. I know how to build an investment portfolio. I've just got the experience with whether it's investing or various property developments that I've done, that I can add value and really help people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that, because I know it's something you don't like to talk too much about, but you have done incredibly well for yourself through your own personal investments, like you've just said, which, does show that you can help others.
Absolutely.
Others do that. Others do that as well. Look, you've probably mentioned a couple of these already, but can you give me a career moment that you're proud of?
Well, I mentioned that one at Logan
Yeah.
Road up in Mount Gravatt. I mean, helping someone make over $1 million is extremely valuable to me. But probably one thing that is greater than that for me, and it may not be the agenda of this podcast, but the satisfaction that I get out of seeing the development of my son as a real estate agent.
Sure.
There's nothing that beats that. He's 20 years of age. He's been working with me for just 3 years now, and he's already sold 3 or 4 properties, more than that actually, by himself as a 20-year-old kid.
Fantastic.
His excitement for adding value to clients with social media advertising and using drone photography and all these things that I've got very little skill set with.
Yep.
Not only is just so proud for me as a principal and a father to see him develop, but it's also very complimentary to what I do, because he's a partner of mine.
Yep.
He helps me.
Yep.
He goes in the listing presentations. He helps do the social media marketing for our clients. He does inspections for our clients when I'm busy. He'll run out at short notice and do inspections, and he helps me get better results for our clients. I'm just so proud that my son's involved with me in the business.
No, I can imagine how
Yeah.
fulfilling that would be, just
Yeah.
seeing that and doing that on a daily basis. So,
Yeah.
now you've got your own podcast. It's called Selling Southport, and I
Yes.
think I wanted to relate that to, because you did say earlier you love to add value to your clients, and obviously I've listened to a few of those episodes, and you cover all the sort of things that that people need to know and ask all the time. How to prepare for an open home,
Yes.
giving them tips on their listing meeting, how to pick the right agent. So I think a fabulous idea that you've gotten that out there, and people should check that out. It's available everywhere.
It is Selling Southport. You can just Google the name and hopefully it'll come up on YouTube or whatever. Spotify, whatever
Everything else. Fantastic.
platform you choose, yeah.
All right. Can you tell me about maybe a time where a listing didn't go to plan?
Well, I mean, just a couple of months ago, we had a great auction lined up for a mortgagee in possession company, and the bank appointed us to sell the property via auction, and we had plenty of people ready to pay good dollars, and the overseas owner of the property promptly paid their debts to the bank, and we just wasted our time because it was just withdrawn from the market.
Right.
That's just one that recently comes to
It
mind.
just happens, doesn't it?
just
It's
happens,
par for the course.
That's
So,
it.
all right, I'm going to now give you our quick fire round. This is where I throw 4 or 5 questions at you, and I just want short, sharp answers that, the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right, one word to describe your negotiation style.
Transparent.
Great. How would your clients describe you?
Experienced. Transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And determined.
Great. Biggest myth about real estate agents?
Not every agent is just out there to make a quick sale and get a commission. under their belt. There are some that value helping clients achieve their objectives.
Great. Your one overall tip for homeowners when selling?
Presentation of the property is very, very important. So decluttering, making sure that everything's well prepared, and I'd say from a sales perspective, overcoming building and pest objections well and truly before you put the property on the market. So we'll typically go to our property management panel of tradespeople and fix things up that are going to come up on a building and pest inspection report.
Sure. Final question, Andrew. If someone's listening and considering using you as their agent, what would you say to them? Look it straight down the camera and give it to them.
Look, I've got the experience in building a large investment portfolio. We've helped thousands of people sell and lease their properties. We've overcome every objection and every problem that there is to go through with these transactions. So I sincerely believe that, more importantly, not just me, but my team of staff can really assist in adding value to your investment portfolio or to one-off transactions.
Andrew Wright, thank you so much for joining me on the Elite Real Estate Agents of Southeast Queensland podcast. It's been a real pleasure, and I've really enjoyed hearing your story, and I know this is going to be one of the episodes that our listeners really love, so thank you very much.
Pleasure's all mine.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ. If today's guest sounded like the right agent to help with your next move, please reach out. You'll find all their details in the show notes and episode description. And if you're a real estate agent interested in being showcased on the podcast, visit www.podproaustralia.com.au to learn more and register your interest. If you enjoyed the podcast, we'd love it if you could like, share, and rate the podcast, and let us know in the comments if there's an agent you've dealt with and you think they should be featured next. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.